Hey everyone, welcome back to Higher Calling. We're rolling into day 21 of our 30 days of faith, and I'm so pumped you're here with me. Today's all about growing in God's strength. Alright, let's set the stage. Ever have one of those days where you feel like you're running on empty? And strength's nowhere to be found? Maybe it's mid-morning, work's draining you dry, your kid's testing every last nerve, or a curveball hits that leaves you reeling. I've been there, just last week. I'm halfway through a Tuesday, 9:30 a.m. My boss piles on a project I can't handle. My kid's throwing a fit over breakfast. And my wife's stressing about a leak we can't fix yet. My tank's low. How am I supposed to keep going? And I'm fading. Tempted to give up or grit through it alone. Ever feel that? Where the day's humming and weakness hits hard, making strength feel like a pipe dream? Those moments, they're real. They're heavy. And they test your faith like nothing else. I'll be real. Weakness loves to hit when the day's picking up steam. Morning starts strong, you're sipping coffee, praying for energy, feeling like you can tackle it all. Night rolls in, and it's quieter, you're resting, maybe recharging a bit, but mid-morning, early afternoon, that's when it strikes, when the day's wearing you thin, stamina's dipping, and strength feels buried under the load. Take yesterday, 10 a.m. I'm at my desk, project's overwhelming, kids' tantrums still echoing. And I'm thinking, I've got nothing left. It's not loud collapse, it's a quiet drain. A weight that makes you wonder if you can push on when everything's pulling you down. Ever had that midday fade where you're not quitting, just wilting? Where's the strength for this? That's where we're starting, because weakness is real. And it loves to test your soul. Here's where faith throws a lifeline, because strength, it's not gone, it's God's. And His Word shows you how to grow in it even when you're low. In Ephesians chapter 6 verse 10, Paul says, "Finally, be strong in the Lord and in His mighty power." That's not just a pep talk, it's a game changer for when the day's wild and your tank's on empty. Ever feel like weakness is too much to overcome? That's when this hits. God's not asking you to muscle it. He's calling you to grow in His strength. Even in chaos, over the next 100 minutes, we're diving deep into how growing in God's strength isn't about faking it. It's about faith rising when you're down. I'll walk you through a Tuesday where weakness nearly flattened me, work crushed. Stress piled, but strength grew. We'll unpack the Bible, Ephesians chapter 6 verse 10, not fluff. It's a promise for your lowest days. And we'll get practical, real steps to grow strong when you're running low. Because who hasn't faded under pressure and wished for more? This isn't about denying the weakness, it's about growing in strength right through it. Last week, I'm pacing at 10 a.m., project's too big, kids too loud, and I'm thinking, I can't do this. Ever been there? Midday weakness sapping your fight? That's your moment. Strength doesn't erase the load, it lifts you in it. So grab your coffee, or whatever's keeping you going, get comfy. And let's roll. Quick question to chew on. When's the last time you felt weak and wished you'd grown stronger in faith? Jot it down, we'll circle back. Day 21's about growing in God's strength when the day's wild. Let's dive in together. Okay, Higher Calling fam, welcome to the core of day 21, growing in God's strength. We've kicked off with those midday moments when weakness creeps in, work draining, kids pushing, loads piling, and strength feels like a stretch. Now, let's dig into what it really means to grow in God's strength. Why it's so tough when the day's rolling, and how it tests your faith to the breaking point. This isn't about the easy strength when you're on top. These are the gritty times when you're low. And strength feels like a hope you're not sure you can reach. Ever hit that spot where you're fading? Strength? In this mess? That's where we're starting, because growing in God's strength is real. It's raw, and it's a faith fight worth wrestling for. Ephesians chapter 6 verse 10, our anchor. Be strong in the Lord and in His mighty power. Let's unpack what that looks like when the clock's ticking past 9 a.m. and you're running dry. So, what's growing in God's strength? It's that stubborn, steady reliance on Him, even when the day's a grind and your tank's hitting empty. Picture this. It's Tuesday, 9:30 a.m. I'm at my desk, boss piles on a monster project. My kid's teacher texts, he's melting down again, and my wife's worried about a leak we can't fix. My energy's shot. How do I keep going? What if I can't? I'm wilting, tempted to give up or push alone, because chaos is loud. And strength feels shaky. Ever feel that? Where midday's a grind, loads stack up. Stamina fades, and strength seems like a myth? That's it, gritty, real, a tug on your soul when everything's screaming. You're done. I've been there, staring at my screen, muttering, I've got nothing left. Why midday? Because that's when weakness peaks, when morning's fire cools and you're stuck in the thick. Feeling the drain. Early hours? You're bold, coffee's hot. Prayers for strength are fresh. Energy's high. Night? You're winding down, recharging some. But 9 a.m., 10 a.m.? That's the test, when the day's wearing you. And weakness makes strength feel impossible. Last Monday, 10 a.m. I'm at home, projects crushing. Kids' tantrum echoes. Wife's anxious, and I'm fading. Strength? Now? Ever had that midday wilt? Where you're not collapsing, just draining? Can I push through? It's not loud breakdown, it's a quiet sag. A shadow that makes strength feel out of reach when the load's heavy. I've slumped in my chair. I'm out, till my back ached. Sound familiar? That's when weakness loves to test your faith. Let's unpack Ephesians chapter 6 verse 10. Paul's not writing this from a cushy spot, he's in chains. Facing trials, strength low, and he's blunt. Be strong in the Lord. Ever think about that grit? Last Tuesday, 9 a.m., works heavy. Kids off, I'm wilting. But, in his mighty power, says lean in. Ever feel like you're too weak to stand? Paul says no, in the Lord, not you, mighty power. Ever pray for energy and feel flat? That's when this hits. Faith grows strength in his might. Not your muscle, it's a lifeline when chaos drains. Why's this matter? Because weakness strains your faith. It's small but sharp. Big crashes? Rare. These fades? Daily. Last Wednesday, 10:30 a.m. Kids still melting. Leaks looming. I'm thinking, I can't do this. Ever feel weakness bury your fight? I've stared at my desk. I'm done, over nothing. Regretted it fast. That's the trap. Weakness doesn't roar, it sags. And before you know it, you're fading, maybe strength's later. Ever wilt and wonder why? That's it. Chaos tests strength when you're low. I've slumped. No more, till my head hurt. This isn't fluffy. Weakness is a wrestle. Strength's the fight. We're wired to push. I've got this. But weakness feeds on that. Ever grit and crash? Last Thursday, 9:45 a.m. Work's piling. Kids loud. I'm fading. I'm out. Ends in me pushing alone. Feeling worse. Ephesians chapter 6 verse 10 says, be strong in the Lord, not your grit, his power. Ever lean alone and regret it? That's the lie. Muscle it. But faith says, grow now. I've had moments, leak stress. Kids fit, why me? Ever wrestle that? It's real. Where strength gets gritty. Why midday? Because it's raw, everyone's watching. Morning's private, strength's bold. Night's calm, rest's easy. Midday? Public, co-workers, family. They see you fade or rise. Last Friday, 10 a.m., store line slow. Kids tugging, I could slump. But, his mighty power, says grow. I nod, busy day. Huh? Clerk nods. I'm steady, not my win. Faiths, ever blow at midday? I've grumbled, hurry, felt flat. Strength? That's leaning, not loud. Real. Strength isn't solo, it's growing now. Last Monday, 11 a.m. Work's heavy, I'm wilting. Where's it? Ever feel that? That's your shot. In the Lord, isn't later, it's now. I've pushed. Regret every time, but growing in strength? That's faith, small, steady. Ever rise in weakness and feel lighter? That's it, not muscling. Growing. Next. A Tuesday where weakness hit hard. But for now, what's your midday drain? Workload? Kid push? That's your fight, strength's your stand. Okay, higher calling fam. Let's get personal now. Time to dive into a story for day 21. Growing in God's strength. We've unpacked what strength means when weakness strikes. And now I'm taking you into a Tuesday where I learned the hard way that fading's a dead end. But growing in God's strength? That's a lifeline. Ephesians chapter 6 verse 10. Be strong in the Lord and in his mighty power, is our anchor. And I'll show you how it played out when chaos hit midday and I had every chance to wilt. I'll give you two versions. One where I let weakness flatten me and turned into a drained mess nobody wanted near. And one where I leaned into faith and grew strong. Ever had a day where weakness made strength feel impossible? Stick with me. This one's raw, real, and straight from my own wrestle. So, it's Tuesday, 9:30 a.m., and the day's already a slog. Morning started rough, coffee's weak. Kids throwing a fit over oatmeal. I'm late out the door. I'm at work now, boss piles on a massive project. My phone buzzes, wife texts. Leaks worse. Water's everywhere. And the teacher emails, he's losing it again. I'm wiped. Lunch was a stale cracker, coffee's cold. And the clock's ticking, 10 a.m. Midday draining, strength? In this, my tank's empty. Shoulders slumped, God, I'm out. Ever had that midday pile-on? Where weakness gangs up and strength feels like a ghost. That's me. Tuesday. Round 1. Version 1. No strength. Just fade. I'm in full-on wilt mode. I can't do this. Boss's project? I spiral. This is too big. God's not helping. Muttering. I'm done. Teacher's email? I snap. Another meltdown? Great. Voice sharp. Regret instant. Wife calls. Leaks bad. I groan. We're sunk. No faith. Just flat. Tone like a brick. I slump. Stare at my desk. I'm out. By 10:30 a.m. I'm a wreck. Strength's gone. Weakness wins. A drained mess nobody wants near. Ever been that guy? Where midday weakness sinks you and you're fading by noon. That's Tuesday. Strengthless, zero fight. All regret piling up. Rewind. Version 2. With strength. Same Tuesday. Same slog, weak coffee. Kids fit. Chaos stacking. Clocks ticking past 10 a.m. but this time, I don't let weakness rule. I'm at my desk. Project looming. Teacher's email blaring. When Ephesians chapter 6 verse 10 hits, be strong in the Lord. I'm like, now? In this? But I pause, right there. Chaos buzzing. Take a ragged breath. Mutter, God, I'm weak. Grow your strength in me. Not polished, no choir. Just a plea from a guy on the edge. No zap, but a nudge. I'm here. Ever try that? Just stopping when weakness roars? It's odd, but it shifts, like the load's still there. But it's not the boss. So, I lean in, boss's project? I breathe, think, his power, I'll push. Teacher's email? I soften, we'll sort it. Thanks, calm, not curt. Wife calls, I nod. God's got us. We'll fix it, no slumping, I sit. Mighty power, not faded me today. By 10:30 a.m., I'm not wrecked, I'm steady. Project's big, leaks messy, weakness didn't win. Ever feel that? Where strength grows and you're not wilting. What's the difference? Version 1. I'm a wave, weakness tosses me. I'm flat, killing fight. Wife stressed. Teachers dodged, weakness owns me. A slumping wreck. Version 2. I anchor. In the Lord, doesn't lift the load, it lifts me. That 10-second prayer. Grow your strength, didn't shrink the chaos, but fueled my soul. Ever notice weakness grows when you fade? I've snapped at clerks. Hurry, wilted, till I sank. Regret every time. Strength? That's fight, I push. I breathe, small wins. Big lift. Ever turn a slump into a stand? That's Tuesday. Strong, proof this works when weakness bites. This isn't polished, project's huge. Leaks wet, kids off, but I wasn't alone. His mighty power isn't a fix, it's a strength when chaos drains. Work didn't ease, but my tank filled. Kid didn't calm, but I stayed firm. Ever grow in strength and feel lighter? That's faith, not my muscle. His might. I got home. Kid chattering, thinking, how'd I not fade? Not me, God's strength grows. Midday weakness, it's daily. Yours might be Monday. Every noon when loads spike. Point is, strength isn't later, it's now. Ever stand in a drain and feel it? That's strength, small, steady, real. Why's this hit? Because weakness tests your soul. Strength proves your faith. I've faded, groaned over a task, felt flat after. But Tuesday? Strength won, not slick. Just solid, I stood firm. Next, we'll dig scripture. But for now, what's your Tuesday drain? Work pile? Kid fit? That's your shot, strength's your stand. Okay, higher calling fam. Let's dig deeper now. Time to crack open the Bible for day 21. Growing in God's strength. We've talked what strength looks like in that Tuesday where I went from faded to steady by leaning into faith. Now, let's see what scripture really says about growing strong when weakness hits midday, when chaos drains and your tank's tempted to empty. This isn't just a cozy verse, it's raw, battle-ready truth that meets you in the thick of work piles, kid fits, or heavy loads. We're anchoring on Ephesians chapter 6 verse 10. Be strong in the Lord and in His mighty power. and pairing it with Isaiah chapter 40 verse 29. He gives strength to the weary. These aren't fluffy words, they're anchors for your lowest days. Ever wonder how Paul and Isaiah found strength in chaos? Stick with me. We're unpacking what the word says about rising when you're down. Let's start with Ephesians chapter 6 verse 10. Paul's not writing this from a comfy spot, he's in prison. Chains on, weakness near, and he's blunt. Be strong in the Lord. Ever think about that grit? Last Monday, 10 a.m., work's heavy. Kids off, I'm fading. But, in his mighty power, says lean in. Ever feel like weakness wins? Paul says no, in the Lord, not you, mighty power. Ever pray for strength and feel flat? That's when this hits. Faith grows in his might. Not your muscle. It's a lifeline when chaos sags. Now, let's pair it with Isaiah chapter 40 verse 29. Isaiah is speaking to a people worn out. Exile crushing, strength gone, and he's clear. He gives strength to the weary. Ever think about that heat? Last Tuesday, 9:30 a.m. Project's big. Leaks bad, I'm wilting. Where's strength? That's when this lands, he gives. Ever feel weakness berries fight? Isaiah says no, to the weary, that's you, strength. Ever fade and wish you'd stood? That's the shift, chaos drains. Faith lifts, God's power grows. Right in the low. These verses vibe. Ephesians chapter 6 verse 10, be strong, starts with reliance. Isaiah chapter 40 verse 29, he gives, fuels it with grace. Paul's chains, his power. Isaiah's exile, he gives. Ever think midday's your drain? Last Wednesday, 10 a.m., work piles. Kids loud, I'm flat. Where's God? But, in the Lord. And, to the weary, tag team it. Strength isn't muscling, it's growing. Paul didn't push, Isaiah didn't quit, God lifted. Ever wilt and wish you'd risen? That's when this kicks, weakness roars. Strength stands. God's got the might and the gift. Right when the day's heaviest. Ever feel firm after a low fade? That's faith, not fluff. Gritty and real. Paul says lean, Isaiah says receive. Why midday? Because that's when weakness tests, morning's bold. Night's calm, but noon's raw. Last Thursday, 11 a.m., work's brutal. Kids fit, I'm fading. No strength. Ever feel that sag? That's your shot. His mighty power steadies. He gives, lifts. I've faded, grumbled at delays, felt flat after. But strength? I nod. God's here, and rise, not my win. His. Ever see strength shift the vibe? That's faith, public, gritty, midday real. Weakness hits daily. Strength does too. God's not absent, he's growing. Right when you're low. This isn't theory, Paul lived it. Isaiah proved it. Ephesians, prison, his power. Isaiah, exile, he gives. Ever face midday drains? Last Friday, 10:30 a.m., kids meltdown. Work's late, I could slump. God's off. But, be strong, says lean. I breathe, you've got this, and stand, steady. Not sharp. Ever scraped by and wonder how? That's faith, not loud. There, I've faded, snapped at a task, regret city. Strength? That's power. God's in your low too. Ever rise in chaos and smile? That's him lifting you. Why's this matter? Because weakness tests your soul. Strength proves your faith. I've wilted, sulked over a load, felt empty after. But Tuesday? Strength won, not slick. Solid, I stood firm. Next, we'll unpack how to live this. But for now, what's your midday drain begging for strength? Work pile? Kid fit? That's your fight, strength's your stand. Okay, higher calling fam. We're rounding out the core of day 21, growing in God's strength. We've hit what strength means. That Tuesday where I went from faded to steady. And how the Bible backs it with Ephesians chapter 6 verse 10. Be strong in the Lord. Now, let's get practical, because this isn't just a talk to nod at. It's a way to live when work crushes. Kids drain, or loads spike, and strength feels buried. I'm giving you 3 simple steps to grow in God's strength, plus a 7-day challenge to lock it in. Ever wish you had a playbook for those midday moments when weakness roars and your fight's wilting? That's what this is, real. No fuss moves to rise in his power when you're low. Let's roll up our sleeves and dive in. Step 1. Name it. Call out the weakness when it hits. Sounds simple, right? But it's gold. We're wired to dodge weakness. I'm fine. I'll push, but it sags. Drains you dry. Ever catch weakness midday? Last Monday, 10 a.m., works heavy. Kids loud, I'm fading. I'm out. Step 1's about owning it, pause. 5 seconds, name it, take a breath, like sipping air through a straw, and say, God, I'm weak, not dramatic, just real. I did it, stood there. Project looming. God, I'm low, no flash, but a nudge, I see it. Ever try that? Just naming weakness when it's loudest? It's the first crack. Strength starts when you call out the fade instead of hiding it. Step 2. Pray it. Ask for strength, not fixes. Once you've named it, don't stew, pray. Ephesians chapter 6 verse 10 isn't solo. His mighty power means he's in it. So lean in. This isn't a long plea, just a quick, God, give me your strength. Last Tuesday, 10:30 a.m. Project's big. Leaks bad, I'm wilting. Where's fight? I name it, I'm weak, then pray, God, I'm fading, lift me up. Takes 5 seconds, ragged. No poetry. Raw. Chaos doesn't shrink, but I feel it, a nudge. I'm here. Ever pray that when weakness hits? Not for a fix, but for strength to grow? I mutter, your power, and nod. That's not me. That's grace kicking in fast. Ever notice praying shifts the drain? It's not about clearing, it's about growing in it. Step 3. Lean it, rest on his power. Not your push. Here's the clincher, you've named it. Prayed it, now lean on it. In the Lord isn't a hope, it's faith in his might. After that prayer, I didn't just nod, I leaned, he lifts. Last Wednesday, 10 a.m., kids fit. Works late, I name. Weak, pray. Lift me, lean. Your power, I say. We'll push, steady, not sharp. Ever do that? A breath, a lean, his strength, small shift. Big rise. I've skipped it, pushed alone, but lean it, says rest. Ever see weakness lift when you lean? That's Jesus, quiet, real power. Why every day? Because weakness is relentless, work piles. Kids drain, loads spike. Last Thursday, 11 a.m. Leaks messy. Kids off, I'm tempted. Not now. Ever feel that sag? That's your shot, name it. Pray it, lean it, 15 seconds, chaos roars. I'm firm, God's here. I've faded, snapped at delays, wrecked after. Leaning? That's steady. I grin at my wife. Not grown. Ever try strength when you'd rather wilt? That's faith, gritty, real. Weakness peaks daily. Strength does too. Leaning's your move. The 7-day challenge. Here's your playbook. Try this every midday for a week. Starting tomorrow. Step 1. Name it, 5 seconds. God, I'm weak. Step 2. Pray it, 5 seconds. Lift me. Step 3. Lean it, 5 seconds. Your power. 15 seconds total, mid-load, mid-fit, mid-drain. Last month, I did it, day 1. Muttering over work, God, I'm out. Day 3. Leaning at a kid's mess, no snap. Day 5. Rising in chaos, not perfect. Firm. Ever wonder what 7 days could shift? I was low, still am, but by day 7. Strength stuck. You in? Try it. See if your noons don't lift. How it works. Name it owns the weakness. Pray it taps the source. Lean it plants strength. Last Friday, 10 a.m. Works big, I name. Weak, pray. Lift me, lean. Your might, I roll, not faded. Firm. Ever notice pushing grows the drain? I've wilted, regret every time. This, 15 seconds. Strength wins, not muscling. Growing. It's not zapping weakness, it's you not breaking. Ever turn a fade into a rise? That's grace, not grit. Strength grows when you lean. Why it's real. Paul leaned, his power, mid-chains. Isaiah received, he gives, mid-exile. Me? I don't fix weakness, I grow in strength. Last Monday, 10 a.m. Kids loud, I name. Pray, lean. God's here. No rush, steady, weakness fades. Strength holds. Ever lean and wonder how? That's faith, mighty power, in the muck. Try it tomorrow, 15 seconds when weakness hits. Drop a comment after day 1, I'm cheering you. Next, we'll wrap this, but for now, what's your midday drain begging for strength? Workload? Kid fit? That's your shot, strength's now. Fam, lean it. Hey everyone, Higher Calling fam, we've hit the end of day 21, growing in God's strength. Man, what a ride, right? We've walked a full 100 minutes together, and I'm so thankful you've stuck with me. From those drained midday lows to the steady truth that's lifted us when weakness roared. Let's wrap this up tight. Because this isn't just a chat to breeze past. It's a way to live when the day's wild and your tank's tempted to empty. We kicked off with that real fade, those moments when weakness piles on midday. Work crushes, kids push, and strength feels buried under the load. Ephesians chapter 6 verse 10 set the tone. Be strong in the Lord and in His mighty power. That's not a gentle nudge, it's a lifeline for when your fight's fading and your soul's wilting. Ever feel like middays when weakness hits hardest? That's where this lands, God's strength grows. Fam, right in the low, we dove into what growing in God's strength means. That stubborn reliance on Him when chaos drains and your energy's shot. Midday's the crunch, loads spike, fight fades, and strength feels impossible. Then I took you into that Tuesday, 9:30 a.m., coffee's cold. Boss's project massive, kids melting down, leak flooding, and weakness screaming. Give up. Version 1. I caved, no strength, snapped at the teacher. Groaned at my wife. Slumped, till I was a drained wreck. By 10:30 a.m., fight was gone. A mess nobody wanted near. Total flop, weakness owned me. Version 2. I leaned in, His mighty power pushed steady on work. Softened with my wife. Sat firm, strength grew. Chaos didn't stop, project loomed. Leak stayed, but I wasn't flat. Ever had a day where weakness could have sunk you, but something lifted you? That's faith, not my muscle. His might. Next, we cracked open the Bible. Ephesians chapter 6 verse 10, be strong, from Paul's chains. Paired with Isaiah chapter 40 verse 29, He gives strength, from exile's drain. These aren't just verses. They're anchors for when midday weakness hits, work piles. Stress sags, and strength feels far. Paul says lean on it. Isaiah says receive it, and together they shout that strength isn't muscling, it's growing. And we wrapped with the how-to, 3 steps to live it. Name the weakness. Pray for strength. Lean on His power. 15 seconds, God, I'm weak. Lift me. Your might, I've lived it. Monday's kid fit. Tuesday's workload, not magic. A lifeline. Then the 7-day challenge, 15 seconds daily to name. Pray. Lean, shifted me from low to firm by day 7. Ever wonder what a week of strength could do? That's your shot. Growing in God's strength isn't pushing, it's rising when you're down. Here's the heart of it. Growing in God's strength isn't about a perfect tank. It's about a steady rise when you're low. That Tuesday didn't shrink my project or dry the leak. It showed me strength grows, wife softened. I stayed firm. Ever feel that nudge, like, you can stand here, even when chaos drains? That's God's power, not your grit. I've faded, groaned over a task, slumped at a fit, regretted it every time. But leaning? That's the win, project pressed. But my fight lifted, strength grew. Small but mighty. What about you? Where's your midday drain begging for lift? The work crush? The kid push? That's where faith meets you, not when it's smooth, but when it's rough. Right in the thick of your day. This isn't about skipping weakness, it's about growing through it. Every time it sags. Think about Paul, chains heavy, he says. His power. Isaiah, exile weary, he gives. Last weekend, I'm at the park, winds blowing. Kids fussing. I'm draining over a snack while birds perch steady overhead. Ephesians chapter 6 verse 10 says, be strong in the Lord. Isaiah chapter 40 verse 29 says, strength to the weary. Ever feel weakness and wish you'd risen? That's the shift. God's not too big for your project or kid's meltdown. I've had days, staring at my desk over work, wilting at a leak, could have leaned, didn't, felt flat after. But Tuesday? Strength won, not perfect. Just present, I stood firm. Ever rise in a low and feel lighter? That's faith with grit, small leans. Big lift, God's might grows. Right when weakness peaks. Now, fam, I'm handing you the mic. I want your voice in this wrestle. Drop a comment below. What's your Tuesday drain story? That midday moment where you faded and crashed, or maybe leaned and stood, tell me. I'm reading every one, or just shout, I'm in. If you're jumping on this 7-day challenge, 15 seconds a day. Name the weakness. Pray for strength. Lean on His power. Right when chaos hits. Hit that like button if this lifted you, because it's not just me here, it's us. Walking this faith journey together. And if day 21 sparked something, smash that subscribe button and ring the bell. Day 22's coming. Living in God's love. And we're diving into how faith roots you when the day's wild and doubts creep in. It's raw, it's real, and it's next, don't miss it. Before I sign off, hear this. You're not alone in your midday lows. I've been the guy with a massive project, a melting kid, and a leaking house yelling, "I'm out, I'm still here." And so are you. That's not chance, that's strength. Paul leaned on it. Isaiah received it, and we can too. Take this with you, next time work piles or chaos spikes. You've got a lifeline. Be strong in the Lord. Try that 7-day run. Fam, I'm cheering you big time. Maybe it's the project you'll rise through tomorrow. Or that kid's fit you'll stand past. Small steps. Mighty strength. Good night, or good morning. Whenever you're catching this, and God bless you big. See you for day 22. Keep the faith. Keep it real. And let's roll this journey together.